Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And we are here to talk about board games.
And probably a lot of not board games.
Yeah. This Wednesday episode, as always, is sponsored by Gray Fox Games, our awesome sponsors. And I say always, in so much as always is like going back roughly 3/4 of a year, and always is like going forward at least a few more weeks.
So they cut us off.
Yeah.
Cut us loose.
But how's everybody's weeks been?
Well, the world lives another day solely because Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won fucking best animated feature.
Yes, we were just going to burn it all down.
We were going to burn it all down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even with Green Book winning.
I have no idea.
Wait, did Green Book really win?
Yeah.
Yes. I have no idea what that movie is.
It's in the past where they have a racist white guy and there's a black guy that's like, let's make him not racist.
Okay.
Through the story and whatnot.
The only thing I saw was a Seth Meyers skit called White Savior.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's another white savior movie.
Yeah.
Although,
Great.
what I thought was funny about that Seth Meyers one is it referenced heavily the Hidden Figures movie.
Yeah, the one about
The three women who worked at NASA. The mathematicians who worked at NASA. But I was reading, I was watching that the other day with my mom and Megan, with Megan's mom when she was in town. And she was asking me, how accurate is it? And I did a little bit of researching, and apparently, the one or two of the women who were alive to see that movie made all were aside from obvious things that Hollywood changes, we weren't nearly as bestest of best friends as the movie made us out to be. We were coworkers. But they were fine with it. They thought it hit the major beats, and
I heard Green Book was not.
Yes.
No,
the family of the guy was not.
The family of the black guy.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Was not happy. However, it turns out the director, or one of the writers, was the son of the white guy, who apparently made his dad seem a whole lot less racist than he really was.
Weird.
So, yeah. That's unfortunate that won.
I heard everything else was good in the Oscars.
I don't know. I heard some people didn't like that Bohemian Rhapsody won film editing.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
They think it was poorly edited, and so it shouldn't have been
I think so, yes.
Or they thought there was something better.
I don't know.
Probably both.
Probably a combination of both.
Okay.
But as long as Into the Spider-Verse won, that's totally fine.
And Black Panther won for costumes.
And
that makes sense.
Makeup or something?
No, makeup was Vice, which they did a good job on that.
Oh.
So
yeah, they won another. They won
they won
three.
three.
Yeah,
they won three. So good. Best soundtrack too, which was a good soundtrack.
Vice or Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Okay. I haven't seen Vice. I don't know. Maybe it's got
Although
a
I'm
great
disappointed because if I don't think Into the Darkness or Into the Spider-Verse had the soundtrack for there. I wish it did.
Oh,
because that was also a really killer soundtrack. So
First Man won visual effects.
Yes.
Black Panther was not winning visual effects. I don't think it was even nominated.
No. Infinity War was though.
That makes sense.
I think that was the only thing I got nominated for.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah. They really need to do a voice acting category or something at some point.
Yes, they do.
I think there is that somewhere.
Not for the
Oscars. Not for the Oscars,
no.
But I think there is.
Well, of course there's some kind of voice acting awards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
But apparently it wasn't as much of a shit show as people were expecting with no host. Everyone was going to be like, that thing's going to be a nightmare.
Wait, there was no host?
Yeah, there's no host.
Like an intentional decision or a host baby? Late?
Intentional decision because there was no...
Because they kept jamming their head up their ass over and over and over and over.
Who was supposed to be the host?
Originally, Kevin Hart
was the last one up to bat.
And then
they found some tweets that he apologized for from 10 years ago that he apologized for many years ago, and then they're like, and then he's like, I already apologized for him, and they're like, well, you're not the host anymore, and he's like, oh, okay.
Trying to wonder what Kevin Hart could have said that would be offensive that Kevin Hart would be sorry for saying.
Yeah.
Just go back 10 years, and like most people, you can find
something insensitive.
Yeah.
A lot of people compared it to the James Gunn thing, where it was like, I was a different person back then. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't hear.
A lot of us were different people 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. Adrian still liked Nickelback back then. So.
That's true. That was probably peak Nickelback fandom back then.
See, that would have been 2009. I think I was over liking Nickelback by then.
Never. You're going to bear that scarlet letter.
I don't even remember where this whole Adrian likes Nickelback bullshit started.
I think it was when you told us you like Nickelback.
Yeah.
I fucking hate you guys. I'm gonna burn the world
I think we
down.
were in the old studio.
Yeah, and I think we
And you had
opened
mentioned-
the door. We weren't supposed to, and there was just Nickelback everywhere in there with
of-
like candles.
a lot of
and
weird-
then a pillow with Chad Kroger's face on it. And I was like, I don't even want to know what's happening there.
You had mentioned something about like a Nickelback CD in your closet, and then you were never forgiven after that.
Oh, see, I thought it was something you made up when I came to work for Epic.
No, it's definitely because I knew you had owned Nickelback, and I was just like,
I mean, I've been very open about the fact that I did in the past. Yeah, I had a lot of terrible music tastes.
some say you still have other terrible tastes.
Shenanigans.
Get pistol whipped for those kind of things.
Yep.
Oh, who won Best Actress? Olivia something?
Yes, Olivia Colman,
I don't really.
For what?
The favorite.
But
not seen it.
I only know her as the policewoman in Hot Fuzz.
Yes. She was also in the first 2 seasons of that Mitchell and Webb look, which was a British.
Oh, in Peep Show. I
Yeah,
think she
she's
was
on
in.
Peep Show. Yeah, she's and Broadchurch too. I think.
Yeah.
One of them. I don't know. There's 2 of them that both have David Tennant. One has the current Doctor Who.
Matt Smith?
No.
No.
The
lady?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then
the
the other
current
one-
Doctor Who. Matt Smith is like 4 away.
He's 2
Three-
away.
2 away, I guess.
2 away.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Let's see. My weekend, basically, it was, I had just a saga of triumph and a saga of disappointment.
God.
Triumph was, I kept getting tired of my stupid phone, the Essential phone. And if I wanted to, like right now, or not now, then I basically had a promo that was like, oh, you can just pay $6 a month for this phone.
Not worth $6.
No. But if I wanted to upgrade early, I would have to pay the full price of like $29 and blah, blah, blah times however many payments. So it was like $115.
Yeah.
And so I called them up and I'm like, all right, you changed the SIM card 3 times in this phone and it still is fucking up. So it's the phone's fault.
This phone sucks.
Yeah, I want a new phone, but I don't want a refurbished version of this phone because this phone sucks.
And I don't want to pay $100.
And I don't want to pay the $100 and so to upgrade it because I don't want to pay $100 and some for this phone.
Yeah.
And I understand that's not how it works. But if I have to continue my 4 months of paying for Sprint, at the end of the 4 months, I was just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
I was very matter of fact. I'm like, look, this is what happened. This is what's happening. And they ended up transferring me to like 5 or 6 different departments. And every single time they're like, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. How can I help you? All right. So this is what happened so far.
Let me catch you up.
Yeah, let me catch up. And then they ended up canceling the lease early, and I went to the store today, and I was like, "New phone, please." They're like $30, and I'm like, "Shove it in their face." There you go.
Jam it down your throat. I don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. So I got an iPhone XR, which we were talking about.
Yeah, we were at Diebold's Imperial Stout, Whiskey Barrel Aged Imperial Stout release. And
I'm trying to decide between that and the XS.
yeah.
And basically, XS is better, but I don't know if it's $250 better.
Yeah, like for a better camera, a better screen, and less battery.
Yeah. And so I was like, really what it was is like, I didn't want to pay the extra $10 or $12 a month for it.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll just stick with this right now. So
For sure.
yeah.
I constantly see clearly targeted ads of like, trade in your iPhone 6S
Yeah.
and get an iPhone 6R for like $350. And I'm just like, no, no.
No.
I just put a new battery in it. I don't need to replace it.
But then my saga of just
The opposite of triumph?
defeats, yes.
Yeah.
Was my streak of having Lyft rides there where people do not throw up in my car has ended at 4,795 rides.
That's a lot of rides.
Well, this is the first time anyone has ever thrown up in my car. So
I'm pretty
surprised.
amazed.
I'm just,
Well,
that was just a lot of rides.
yeah.
in-
Well, you
in
know why?
total.
Because I have a set of guidelines that I follow to not have that happen. But on Saturday, it was still icy enough that a lot of people didn't want to drive,
Yeah.
but not icy enough where I didn't want to drive. And so the surge rates were anywhere from 50 to 100% the entire night. And I was heading home because normally I stop at 12 and at midnight. And I was driving home and I was like, all right, well, I'll turn on my destination filter, which, is like I point it towards home and any rides that are going the same route I am, I'll pick up. Otherwise, they will filter them out. And so I got a notification for someone a little farther away, and I was like, do I want to do this one or not? I'm like, it's getting late. All right, fine. One more ride. This is one more job. It's the last job. Then till retirement.
Yeah.
I pull up, and these two women are helping a third woman into the car as supporting. And I'm like, oh no, this is not going to end well. And they're like, do you have any bags? And I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. Which I had some in the trunk, so I grabbed it for her. And then it was a 20-minute drive, and I was like, well, she didn't immediately puke, so maybe we can make it all the way through. And, I'm making sure not to hit bumps or do corners too hard, and everything's going great. And then I'm like, all right, I've pulled into her apartment complex. I've stopped. No puke. Great. And then the non-sick friend was like, all right, it's time to go. How are you feeling? The other one right behind me, I feel sick. And I was like, it's 15 seconds away. No. And so I immediately am like plugging up my ears because I'm very a sympathetic vomiter. There's someone vomits, there's a good chance I'm going to vomit. And so I was able to keep it down until she left, and her friend was like, oh, there's no damage in your car or anything like that. And I was like, okay, good. I guess you kept it in the bag. I drive home, and I park, and I'm like, all right, let's make sure there isn't anything. I see like some, I don't know, oil, like grease, like forehead oil, whatever sort of shit
On the window?
Not on the window, on the seat, my seat, on the back of it. Like that's where they were resting their head. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I looked down, and it looks like only 20% of the vomit did not go into the bag. And so, but it was just enough that I saw it, and then I immediately puked on the side. And so I submitted the request for Lyft and went and got my car cleaned, and they sent me money back for the cleaning fee. So
Woo.
yeah, so that's broken, unfortunately. So
Streak is broken. Now you got to start a new streak.
I don't want to do another 4,795 rides.
The 4,796 rides just going to feel so sweet.
I'm sure. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll be the only thing I feel because I'll be dead inside at that point, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
You throw a party when you hit ride 5,000?
No.
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 It's coming up.
Yeah. I mean, at
They
some
don't
point,
care.
I'll be like, I mean, at like ride 6,000, they'll give me like a hat or some bullshit. They gave me a mug, which is funny that when I hit like 3,000 rides, like, oh, you hit it, you can get one of these things. And I was like, well, I guess I'll take the thermos thing that looks pretty cheap. And then they're like, oh, we also had these extra ones that we don't need from some other thing. Here, you can also have that. It was better than their actual Lyft. I was just like, well, if that isn't just the standard of quality I would expect with Lyft.
And they're the better
Yeah.
of the ride-sharing
Yeah.
companies.
Yep. But yeah, that's basically what I've been doing this weekend.
Right on. So
Well, and you won a free bottle of beer.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
At D-Bolt, they were, I guess for the Vlad release, they were doing like raffles,
If you got a flight of the flavors or whatever.
which I didn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I ordered a flight, and then right before they're doing the last raffle, Sobek comes up and is like, "Did you get a ticket?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Here you go," hands me a ticket, and then he went up there, mixed it around, and pulled out mine.
Yeah.
And I was
Nice.
like, "Okay, cool." So I have a thing of Vlad at home. So
Yeah.
cool.
A gold World Beer Cup winner in aged beer category.
yep.
Yeah. Things have been relatively non-exciting for me. Work is work. I'm excited to almost be done. I officially gave my notice since the last time we recorded, and so everybody now knows I'm quitting. So I could talk about that. The funny thing is,
Did anyone bother to learn your name?
the people who work immediately with me know my name. There is like another guy that I tangentially occasionally work with who just calls me Red. And I'm like, okay, sure. And everybody tried really hard to make that my nickname, and then I just never respond to it, and so it doesn't work.
Right.
And it's not even because it's not even like an intentional thing. Like I don't like it, so I ignore it. It's like I have my headphones in, and just I've never been called Red, so having people be like Red, Adrian, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like,
well.
huh? Somebody calling me. But it was kind of funny the way some of this worked out. So I on Thursday went and met with the company owner about maybe going to work in their marketing department, running the not running, but like working on their podcast and
I'm still
cooking show.
confused why they have a podcast.
Yeah.
It's appliance repair, right?
Well, so my specific job as appliance repair, the podcast that they have is like home remodeling. It's like
Okay.
a lot like their podcast, their cooking show, their magazine, all of that's tied into their like really high-end home remodeling lines.
I see.
And that side of the business.
Okay.
But so I went and met with him, and he clearly had no idea what board games were. So talking about like how I have like 3 years of board gaming podcast experience, because I was talking very generally. I was like, I podcast about board games. I was like, I've been doing a podcast for like 3 years. I just recently launched a second one, and like I'm kind of doing some work, helping people start a third one. And, like I am doing all this different stuff, and I've got like, I taught myself to edit and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I'm a published, audiobook narrator, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay. He's like, what's your podcast about? I was like, it's about board games. He's like, so like Monopoly and Risk? It's like,
Sounds
yes.
about right. Yeah.
100%.
I've
3
been-
years,
3 years talking about Monopoly and Risk.
most podcasts.
In fact, it's been 3 years talking about the same game of Risk that just will not end.
Yeah. Just
So I didn't try to explain. He's like, what's your favorite game? I was like,
That's-
why are you asking me that question?
Because you have no idea.
yeah. That's
I
always
get that question all the time.
I know.
What's your favorite game?
And it's like
Terraforming Mars. Do you have any fucking idea what Terraforming Mars is? No. Then why
I just tell him.
are we having this conversation?
I just go Scott Pilgrim with it. I was like, oh, that's a big question.
But so I met with him Thursday just to see, like,
Oh, follow-up question. What's your favorite game? Terraforming Mars. Oh, what's it about? Terraforming Mars.
And I didn't like. Ultimately, he steered the question. He kept asking me about my marketing experience, and I was like, "Dude, I've got no marketing experience. How many different ways can I tell you I don't have marketing experience, and that I'm not interested? Like, if you want me to be a marketer, then it's not going to work. Like, I want to do maybe be on your editing staff or on your production staff.
We'll pay
or
you
something
bottom
like that.
dollar.
And so he was like, okay, well, it'll take a couple weeks. We'll talk through this. Like, I've been hearing really good things from your managers down there. You're an up and comer down there. You work really hard and blah 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 blah. I was like, cool. And then Friday, like, I officially accepted the position at the other company, and told my immediate supervisor down there, like, hey, dude, I accepted this position. They're offering me nearly double what I'm getting paid here right now. And all of them down there are super supportive. They're all like, yeah, dude, get the fuck out. Like, the closest somebody came to not being supportive was I told them I was leaving, and they went, God damn it, every time we get somebody in here who can actually fucking work. like,
Well, maybe you just have to pay them more.
yeah. So then today, the warehouse manager guy who oversees the whole warehouse, he came by and was talking to me about how my meeting with the owner went the previous week. And I was like, oh, it went pretty well. I was like, but I'm guessing that it hasn't worked its way up the chain yet, that I put in my notice that I'm leaving at the end of this week. And he went, what? Really? I was like, why? And I was like, because I have a job that's going to pay me, nearly twice as much. He's like, oh, well, I can't offer you that now, but like you would have gotten there if you worked all the way through the training program and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, except they're offering it to me right now, like while I'm in their training program. So he's like, yeah, that's fair, I guess. All right, well,
Okay, bye.
bye. Yeah, and kind of walked away. It was like right at the end of the day. I went out and I got in my truck, and then I got a call from the secretary of the owner of the company. They want me to come in and meet at 1:30 tomorrow to talk about advancement opportunities in the company. It's like, sure, I'll come meet with him.
Yeah. Here's my dollar amount that I'm about to get paid by someone else.
Yep. You need to exceed this by a not insubstantial margin, because I'd much rather work for a multi-billion-dollar biomedical company than a local appliance shop. So all of that will be resolved by the time this comes out. So I don't care.
Yes.
Because I assume that maybe they might do some homework and check up on my podcast. But
Yeah. They're gonna hack your computer for the
Yeah.
raw podcast data.
Yeah. So depending on how
They'll release this on Tuesday.
depending on how this goes tomorrow, I might be messaging Zach and be like, "Hey, Zach, all that stuff where I talk shit on the company that needs to not make it.
No.
I'm gonna still work for them.
Oh, and you need me to cut everything else out and just release that.
Just release Adrian.
Somehow bold it. Like you can hear that all the
Bolded audio.
Yeah.
You just make it sound really deep,
Yeah.
like a voice modulator.
Aside from that, nothing really exciting going on. I went out to my grandparents this weekend because my mom was in town. So drove out to the Flatlands where they had a bunch of snow. Got to let Jester chase rabbits for hours and hours.
Kansas?
Basically. I mean, it might as well be Kansas.
All right.
The Flatlands of Colorado, far eastern Colorado.
Gotcha.
See, when you say that, it actually makes sense. Whereas our friend Nick, he refers to, I don't know, eastern Denver as Kansas. So
That's excessive.
Yes.
If you can see the mountains, you're not in Kansas. Yeah. But you can't see the mountains from my grandparents' house unless you climb way up on the barn on a very clear day.
Which there is not many in Colorado.
No.
Well, I mean, there are clear days,
No,
but
there
there's a
aren't.
lot of air pollution.
I thought you were saying there weren't many barns.
No.
Well, luckily from their place, the air pollution in Denver, because Denver sits in a bowl.
Yeah.
So that all just sits down below the everything. But yeah, just got to run and play and chase rabbits, and I played card games, hand and foot and things like that. Super exciting stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Enough about all that shit.
Yep.
Our lives and the Oscars and puking in back seats.
Yeah.
Let's talk about board games.
And it also snowed.
It did also snow. Again, we've got a good amount of snowfall
Yeah,
in
a
Denver
lot
this
more.
year.
I didn't even talk about that. I went to amateur wrestling too.
Oh shit, yeah, we did. That was glorious. Never mind, we're not done talking
we're not
about our
done.
personal shit. You get to listen to us some more. Banter is going to be rich this week.
My family's rich.
Yeah, so our good friend Mike Jones, he
Friend of the show. And
friend of the show and personal friend. He had his birthday, and we got invited out for his birthday to go watch local professional wrestling. And ostensibly they get paid.
Local amateur wrestling.
It really should
Still-
be.
Well, I
they
mean,
get paid?
they're called like they're
The-
Rocky Mountain Pro.
Okay.
Right, is
All
the
right. Yeah.
is the circuit, and I think they must get paid at
They
least
must.
a little.
Yeah.
They have to get paid a little.
Yeah.
Um,
Some maybe
I don't
more
know.
than
Some of
others.
them didn't look like they put that much effort.
well, I mean, I'm sure there's tiers. There's tiers. of-
Yes.
The Dragon Ball Z looking dude was definitely. I feel like he was getting paid for that.
yes, I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure, but I think I know who you're talking
Orange
about.
pants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which that's one of the few guys. So there were like 4 guys that I recognized at the local pro wrestling thing from the Cinco de Mayo luchador wrestling thing that I saw back in last May. So I was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing you fight. Just
Different.
you were churching it up in a different way. But it was pretty ridiculous.
in the middle of a snowstorm.
In the middle of a
snowstorm.
snowstorm,
Yep.
huge blizzard.
We had ringside seats.
That my feet couldn't touch the ground.
Yeah, it was.
Like a little
I
kid.
kept kicking the thing. It was driving Paul crazy.
Yep.
You got there well before us because, again, snowstorm. You were out driving and we're like, oh, it's starting to snow. I'm going to bail and go.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Well, and I had brought V and Mike Jones there.
yeah.
And then I was like, they were there for a couple hours until I was like, hey, it's starting to snow a decent amount. I'll just head there now.
Okay. Yeah, whereas for us, I was waiting a little. I don't remember why I was waiting. I think I was hanging out with Megan or something before she went to work. And then I had to go get Wes and then go get Paul and then go over there. And in the midst of that, the snowstorm happened and kind of threw everything to shit.
Which good thing you have that Forerunner.
Yes, I got my Forerunner fixed. And originally the plan was for me to pick up Wes and go to Paul's. Then we are going to take the Tesla. But then, like, as that snow kept coming down, Paul was like, no, maybe we'll take the Audi. And he's like, but the Audi's cold. And I was like, or we could just take the Forerunner that I'm in already, that is nice and warm, that has like legit 4-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. And that if we crash in it, you might not even notice.
Yeah.
Like you'd notice while you were in the crash, but after the fact, somebody who sees the Forerunner, and they might be like, did you get new dents? Or are those the same dents? Yeah, so we showed up closer to 9, like when it was starting. When the main event was starting.
Mm-hmm.
So how was all the prelim stuff?
Oh, it was very. There were a couple fights, but mostly it was
Shit talking?
shit talking. But I couldn't hear it because here's the thing: is that we were sitting like on the the back side of it, but they were directing all of their talk towards the main crowd and the people upstairs. And so I think a key component of the shit talking is when you can actually see the person. If you just see their back, you're missing something. But they had we saw some people playing with a giant cornhole and whatnot. But then they moved all that shit out of the way and then pushed all the seats close to the ring, including the seats that we were in that we didn't even have to leave. They just moved us from behind, and it's like, yeah, this is why we get here early.
Ringside seats.
Yeah. But it started off with a 3-person tag team, whatever you want to call it, 3x3. Yeah, triple tag team. There we go.
Triple threat.
Yeah, and some of those, it was definitely entertaining, but you could definitely tell that there's a reason why they weren't in WWE or some of the other ones. They weren't selling it as well as they could. Some of them, but I think once we all were all right, we're here. We could either cynically watch and be like, oh, this is stupid, or just get into it. And we got into it, and it was a lot of fun.
That's good.
Including talking shit about the refs that were walking around and shit like that.
Oh yeah, and that's I've learned with a lot of things in life, you can have that choice. I can be cynical and shitty about this thing that is kind of stupid and not very good, or I can just really lean into it and just go for it and then have a lot of fun.
Pretty much do that Blue's Clues style thing of it, you're supposed to yell at the TV when shit's happening. It was like that. The ref's talking with somebody else, and then shit's going on behind him. We're like, fucking ref, look behind you. They're beating the shit out of it.
Ref, get control of your ring.
There's only 20 people here. You can clearly hear me.
Yeah.
Well, or at one point they had this big, way too early in the night, they had a battle royale with 40 fucking fighters.
Probably not 40.
It wasn't quite.
I think it was 12 to 15, somewhere in there.
It was enough to fill the ring.
No, yeah. We thought they were sort of introducing everybody, and then they just all started fighting each other. Okay, well, this is happening now.
Wrestling is broken out.
But one of the guys, I thought he got thrown off and then just wasn't leaving, because that was the rule. To get eliminated, you had to be thrown over the top rope.
Royal Rumble rules.
And have both feet touch the ground.
Yes.
Yeah. So people would get thrown over and then swing back under, or they'd push them over as they turned away and not see that they caught the rope and pulled themselves back into the ring. But there was this one guy who went down under the ring, and you kept seeing him pop out, he'd start pulling up the curtain and poking out. And at one point,
his name was Kid Rascal, by the way.
I missed that. Kid Rascal
instead of Kid Rock.
And he looked a lot like Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Very white trashy.
But honestly, everybody was sort of bargain bin versions of actual wrestlers.
That sounds right.
But he leaned out and he reached up and he smacked some wrestler who was still in the ring, because they're real big into slapping.
Yeah.
A lot of slapping.
Well, it makes a lot of
If you keep calling it slapping, I will have to slap you. It's called a chop. Get it right.
They kept chopping.
Better.
So he crawled out from under, chopped a guy who was right by the ring there, and the ref saw him and was came over to yell at him, and he ducked back under, and the wrestler he chopped turned around and acted all indignant, and so we were all it was the fucking ref.
We saw the ref hit you, and then he was yelling.
He was yelling. It was great.
Yeah.
At one point, we must have been doing something right, because one of the guys came by and gave our entire little section free drink tokens.
Nice.
Yeah.
Clearly, you needed more drinks to interact more.
Yeah. The problem for me is, so I got the free drink token, and I was driving, so I didn't want to drink too much. But I was I could have one more. I got a free drink token. You can't use it upstairs. And downstairs, they were sold out of a quarter of the beers they had available. And to be fair, even the ones that were sold out.
And it's only beer stot and C squared ciders.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it wasn't the good ciders. And
no, they had a
cinnamon.
No, they didn't have that one because that's really good. But it was a cucumber lime one or something similar to that.
Oh, yeah.
Or mint. I don't know, whatever. It was pretty good, but it wasn't that, the cinnamon one.
Aunt and I went down and talked to them while they were bottling that or something. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
So then I had the brilliant idea when I realized I couldn't actually get a beer I wanted with my token. I had the really great and original idea that it was Mike Jones's birthday and he might appreciate a free drink. So I gave Mike Jones my token.
He didn't get it. He wasn't sitting with you guys?
He was right behind us.
Oh.
Yeah, he had people from his work show up, so they had enough room on the tall seat for them, and then we had 4 that were off to the side.
Yes. So, but yeah, no, that was a bunch of fun. I almost forgot all about that.
Oh yeah, same here.
I forgot to, like, I told Megan I was going out, but she thought I was going to the Red Square thing. She didn't know I was going to wrestling. So when I sent her a random picture of wrestling, she was like, what is this? And my brother messaged me, like, what are you doing? You know, like, he messaged me something and I didn't reply. And so he's like, why are you ignoring me? Why are you ignoring me? What are you doing? What are you doing? And I just sent him a picture of the ring. And he goes, I was not expecting that. So it was good times.
Yeah. So now we can go into board games.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was not there.
No.
I was down in wherever in Telluride Adrian thinks Katie lives.
Yeah.
I think we've established it's Arizona.
Yeah. Somewhere near the Mexican border.
Yes. But Jeff, what about you? What games have you been playing?
So we were at Rack House the day before?
No,
No, we were
Tuesday.
at
That
you
week.
guys were at Rack
Yeah.
House Tuesday. We were at Denver Game Lounge on Wednesday for game night.
Yes, and then you were back at the Rack House
On
for
Friday.
for wrestling.
Yes.
On Friday. We were going to go to Epic for our game night, and I haven't really been to the brewery in forever because I just kind of go to work for a little while and hobble around and then go home. That we were going to go to the game night Tuesday game night at Epic.
Yep.
And then you got there a little bit before I did and discovered they were closed for Employee Appreciation Night, which I had no idea was a thing. No one told me. They all went to Falling Rock and got beers and food. The whole team shut down the whole brewery and everyone went there. I had no idea that happened. So that was great. And so we went over to Rack House and played board games.
Yep.
With Lance and V and you.
And you.
And me. You guys were playing some blue game. I don't remember what it was called.
Karuba, I think it was.
So it's like a 2-player game.
Yeah,
right?
it was a 2-player game. It was interesting enough, but I'm okay not playing.
Yeah. And then we were like, well, what do we want to play? And then we hemmed and hawed about what to play for like a significant period of time. And then
Which we always do.
Yeah. And then we're just like, all right, let's play Tokyo Highway. I haven't played Tokyo Highway. And
Well, originally we weren't going to do it because they're like, Jeff's got a broken leg, so maybe he won't be
can't
able to
hobble around
Yeah.
to get the right angles. But it played just fine. So it was my first play of Tokyo Highway. Seems like we're still getting the rules nailed down.
Well, no. I mean, I had all the rules right this time, but some people were still confused about wrong rules, and so it was
Above
still
and
adjust.
below
Yeah.
and things like that. Did pretty well.
Yeah.
I think you went out first.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and then Lance kind of got himself out.
Yes, he did. Lance basically fell into a trap in the game where you accidentally knock something over small, but then you get nervous because you knocked over shit, and then you just keep knocking over more shit.
So you just keep losing all of your
Yeah.
pieces, and then you just can't play anything else, and then you're out.
Yeah.
And then you were out, and so it was between V and I about to get who's getting second.
Yeah, and yes, because once you win, you're technically out of the game, and then you just keep playing until you establish second, third, and fourth.
Yep.
Lance was fourth.
Yes.
So
he had established his fourth place. And it ended up where I was just going to be like, I can place this here. I can't get 2. V can get her 2 done, no problem. And then I knocked some stuff over and put it back, and then knocked some more stuff over and then put it back. But I still had enough pieces to where I could place.
Yeah.
But I was still going to hit third. Mm-hmm. And then V just needed to place hers. And then she fell in that trap. Just knock stuff over, knock stuff over, knock stuff over.
And then she knocked enough to where it was like,
you're out of pieces and you can't even play anymore.
You can't even though it's your turn, you have nothing to put your popsicle stick on. So
Yep. And so then I got second place.
Yeah.
By default. Best 2 words in the English language.
So yeah, Adrian, the one thing that we got right that time over the previous ones, you know how before when we were placing it, we thought it was just the first time you went over it?
Yes.
All right, so the correct way is if you go under a bridge and nothing's underneath it, or you go over a bridge and nothing is over it, do you still get it?
Oh,
Still
so you
have to
can
place a
go
car.
over each bridge. So each bridge can be scored twice.
Yes.
The first person to go under and the first person to go over.
Well, to an extent, if you
Because
go,
you can
if you
place
go,
on top of other things.
Yeah. So
which
if
means
you,
can't
if
go
you had
under
your
anymore.
base one and then I went over you, I would get a point. But then if Jeff
Went under me,
under you or over me,
he'd get 2 points.
he'd get 1 point.
Yeah. Because his route already has something else under it, so I wouldn't score
see,
that
I
one.
see, I see,
Yes.
I see. So does that mean that like the max you could really ever get is 1 point for crossing?
No, you can totally get
cross
2.
multiple.
Yeah, you can cross multiple if they're just sort of near each other, and you go over both of them, and they don't have anybody above them.
Yeah, but I mean like because we were seeing spots where like I don't know.
No, we were playing it.
We were playing way wrong.
Yeah.
I know at one point, but
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I got I ended with going 2 because I built an off ramp and I went underneath somebody's. And so if I had gone under somebody else's as well that didn't have one underneath it, then I would have gotten 3 that way.
Yeah.
So there are definitely ways to get a lot, but it is a lot harder and you have to do a lot more planning.
Yep.
So
It's a cool game.
yeah.
We got like up to like 5 height at one point, I think.
Yeah.
We went got
That was
pretty high.
that was Lance
Yeah.
who did that, and then he lost all his pieces. So
Yeah. It looks nice when it's all done.
yes.
And it's a cool game. It's a cool little dexterity game.
Yep.
Then at Wednesday, we were at the Game Lounge, which was fucking packed.
Yes.
Like wall to wall.
And it was almost all us.
Yeah.
But there was like 2 or 3 tables taken up by this stamping thing that was also there.
It was one of the big tables and then like that little side cushiony one.
Oh, okay.
Like, so it wasn't that much. Like, it sucked. They were taking up one of like the main like gaming
Big
tables.
Like 8 plus people on it. So.
But yeah, they were some printing society that does like free old school
like hand stamp.
printing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But otherwise, it was all us. It was so many people. It was easily the best turnout we've had in, I don't know, probably almost a year. We've been down a bit for a while. And it was weird because I don't know if it was like a combination of like weird weather, like some weird awkward time when it's between holidays and nobody really has shit to do. Like, I never know what drives some of these huge crushes of people showing up. But yeah, it was packed.
Location?
I mean, we've never been anywhere near that busy.
Yeah.
Any other time we've gone to Game Lounge. Nobody's like been raving about Game Lounge overall, but
Wish they would have more than one server.
They had like 2.
Yeah.
I wish
at
they'd
one
had
point,
more than
but
one
yeah.
functioning server.
You're not wrong. I think they had like a barkeep, a server, and then like someone who was doing both.
Yeah.
So at times they were doing bar and tires, but yeah, it was definitely, you could feel it at times.
Yeah. But there we played Crusaders, which we'll talk about Friday.
Yep.
And then we played Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which we hadn't played in a while since Zach's, I don't know, I think Game of the Year.
Yes. It had been a
Revelation.
while. Yeah. Revelation.
We played 5-player, I think.
Yeah.
Was it 5?
Yes.
So we made 6 castles.
Yeah, it was the 3 of us.
we made 5
Katie
castles.
and her friend.
Was it 5 castles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you make essentially, you're working on 2 castles, but there's
Yeah.
1 castle per player.
Yes.
As is tradition, Katie had never played before and crushed everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, I got last place in that, and that's because
Adrian was
Well-
partnered with Katie.
yeah, and so he thought Adrian was also partnered with me, and he thought our castle was doing a lot better than it did, so he tanked ours to help his and Katie's, which was the highest scoring one.
Yes.
And then Katie's sister, she wasn't making the best tactical moves on my end.
Uh-huh.
There were many times where I was like, I'm passing. I hope she'll realize that we need this. And then it's just, oh, okay, we got something we don't get any points for. Cool. All right.
new player problems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and before I started, I was like, I'm either going to get first or last. And I got last.
You're not first, you're last.
Exactly.
And then Katie's and I castle got second highest, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that didn't matter.
No. It mattered for
I think
her.
and I got second.
Yeah.
So, hurrah.
Yes.
I think that was
How do you get second
Uh,
in that situation? Because was your castle your castle with her sister the 3rd highest?
Yes.
yes.
It was.
Yeah. No, yes, it was. Because
Because Katie got first and second, and
Yeah.
then
you got first and third, or second and third.
Yep.
I got 1st and 4th.
Yes,
And
and
then
I
you
had
got-
fourth and fifth.
Yep.
And then Katie's sister had 5th and 3rd. So,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I got the 3rd place castle, which leapt me to 2nd place.
yes.
Okay.
Still a fun game. But
Yes.
it's definitely, you have to, is playing with a new person. I try and rein back you should, like, all right, there's definitely something in here that you should take. Like, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I think that's all I played.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't play a whole lot either. Played some Wordsy out at my grandparents'. Megan is just unfairly good at that game. Like, it's brutal. I like it. It's a good word game, but yeah, disheartening to lose by like 30 points in that game. Especially when you're
Crush
somebody who
mercilessly.
has like a pretty good vocabulary. Otherwise, didn't really play anything else. Oh, no, I did. One thing I do want to talk about. I forgot all about this. I knew there was one more thing I played while I was out there. Megan, my mom, and I played Unlock. And it was, I think it was...
Which one was it?
I think it was from Andrews. It was the...
Was it the island?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Island of Goorse or whatever.
Yeah.
Gnosis or whatever. It's like the third one in the exploration series. And I can officially say, without any shadow of a doubt, Exit is a far superior puzzle game.
I would agree with that.
We breezed through the tutorial. Like, we got all that. I was like, okay, cool. It makes sense. Like, things were clearly where they should be. We understood how cards went together, what they were meaning, looking for hidden symbols on other ones. Like, cool, good. We started the scenario, and with 3 players, it might not have been the best number of players to play that particular scenario because it splits you into 2 teams.
Yeah. And so you just had like one person working on one end.
So it was me on one end and then Megan and my mom on the other end. And we were doing some things and like we eventually got to the point where we felt really stuck. You know, we couldn't really do much. And they were like, well, we have this blue and this red. And then like 5 reds. They had like 1 blue and 5 reds. They're like, let's just start spamming numbers, you know, like to see what they combine. And we got something or did something where we figured out a code, or maybe it was from a hint. Like we did a series of hints that like revealed something to us. And it was like, draw these cards. And then we drew cards that told us to discard cards we didn't have. And like we clearly had gotten off somewhere. And it wasn't very clear where it happened. And at that point, we were already like basically right at the hour mark for when you're supposed to complete it. And it was like, okay, let's stop. Like we're clearly fucked up somewhere. We missed shit. Who knows what we missed? Let's quit. And then my mom was like, well, could we try it again? Like, could we maybe instead of just quitting, could we fix everything, put it back in order and try again?
But like switch sides.
And that's what we did. And I was like, yeah, actually, let's do that, but let's switch sides. So like some of it was nice because I could hear so much of their discussion that me playing on their single side, I knew a little bit more of the solutions. But since I wasn't really talking out loud to myself while I was solving things, some of the things I solved really easily took them a little bit of time. But we followed a better path and ultimately ended up like we flipped one card where it was like, you get all these cards. It was like, oh, these are all the ones we missed last time. This also makes a lot more sense. And we were able to actually play all the way through it. And we ended up winning it. Megan accidentally one time going to punch code, punched penalty, which cost us 3 minutes. And then time expired with 30 seconds, right as we went through the door that gave us 5 more minutes. So we ended up finishing with time on the clock, but it said that we expired our hour because she accidentally pushed the button wrong, the penalty wrong. And we ended up with like a 2-star rating on it. But overall, like it just so much of it, I did not like the app. Especially trying to get hints or punching codes, and like it was so arbitrary. Like, you know, you have the thing that was clearly you needed to do a code with, but it was like 5 by 4, and somehow you needed to use that to narrow something down to what could be punched in on a 9-digit keypad, and it just wasn't very clear. Like I wish the app had something more where you could be like, I want to do puzzle J or punching code J. And it'd be like, J doesn't have a code you punch in here. Or, you know, if it does, then okay, here's what J card looks like.
Right.
So you know you're punching in codes for the right thing at the right time. And it was frustrating. Overall, I got real salty in that first game. Real salty.
Understandable.
But didn't really care for that particular unlock. Like you said, maybe it'd be better if it was like 2 and 2 or 3 and 3.
There are definitely times when I played it where we were just sort of waiting on the other people to finish because we're like, I know we need these things here, but we can't do anything with it until they do whatever they're doing because I'm sure it's going to involve them. But you just sort of wait.
Yeah.
So.
The other game that I played that I'll talk about real quick was Counterfeiters. I played that at the Wednesday game night over at Game Lounge. It's a really quick little worker placement game where you are printing counterfeit money and then exchanging it for real money, and whoever has the most real money at the end of the game wins. And it does a couple interesting things. Overall, I wasn't very impressed with the game, but a couple things that I did really like about it. So you have a shop row where you can buy things with money, and you start with a base amount of real money and no fake money. and you have like one card that is like the things you need to make fake money, so like ink and printers and paper and like holograms and things like that. And when you go to print fake money, you look at everything you have that's necessary, and they're all rated at like 1 star. You add up how many 1-star items you have, and that's what star worth of paper fake money you print on a 1 to 3 scale. So if you only have 1, you print really shitty 1 money. 2, you print 2, and 3, you print 3. And the fake money it's nice that the ones are really shitty, like really clearly shitty ripoffs of the in-game actual money. The 2s are a little bit better, and then the 3s are really close, but still noticeably counterfeit. There's an action to go make the money and everything, but then when you go change it in, there's little cop symbols. So there's like 4 of them on the board, and every time you do a cop symbol, the cop track moves. That's the main timer for the game. So the more people are turning in counterfeit money to get real money, the faster the game's going to go. So if everybody agrees to kind of sit back and like, especially for some of the ones where you can really turn in unlimited amounts or near unlimited amounts, like it's like 3 for one or 8 for the other. If people are hoarding up to max those out, the game will take a little bit longer. But if people are like, I've got 2 counterfeit, I'm going to go change my 2 counterfeit right now, it can speed it along. And as you move along the track, different things happen. Eventually, the cops catch on to the counterfeiting, so you can't exchange 1s anymore, and then you can't exchange 2 stars anymore, and then you can't exchange 3 stars anymore at one of the spots. You could only do it in like one other random area. And then every now and then there's a little like fox symbol, which is the mob boss guy, and he comes along, and once his cut, he like shakes you down, and he takes half of whatever real money you have on hand. And the way you can combat that is there's an action space to fly to the Caymans and like bury your money in a offshore account.
Nice. I was hoping you're like just bury it on an island somewhere.
Yeah, you just go bury it in the Caymans.
Yeah.
So it was really simple. The rules are really easy. There's nothing really complicated to it. It was okay. It played one of the best things about it. It was a 4-player worker placement game that played in less than an hour.
False. The best thing about it is that you're all animals.
Oh yeah, you're all little animal
people.
Anthropomorphic animals.
One's a manatee.
Yeah, there's like a gator,
crane or something.
Crane, yeah,
deer,
sure,
buck. Antlered animal.
Oh yeah, because that's what I was like, the stag. Because I remember thinking like, oh, it's a good thing that Zach's not playing because he would have taken this so he could be the Baratheons, because it looked like the Baratheon stag.
Gotcha. You only say that because I do that every single time if it's ever an option.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And it also happened to be the blue player, so I was like, I'll be blue, and I was like, sweet, I'm the stag. So I was like, oh, I'm glad Zach's not playing, because he would have taken it for the stags, then I would have been stuck with like green or some bullshit. But ultimately, like when we were done, I just didn't really like feel like I needed to ever play it again. Like I'm glad I played it. It was a cool experience, but nothing really. I feel like I saw everything that game has to offer in one play. So, yeah. Zach, what about you? What have you been playing?
So as usual, mostly what you guys have been playing.
Correct.
2 things,
especially lately.
Yes. 2 things in particular I want to talk about though. One, before when I got to Rack House to watch wrestling. I played a quick game with V and Mike. It was called 5 Crowns. The game's like from 1996, something like that. It's by the people that made Set.
Yeah.
So it's just you have a deck of cards that has 5 suits in it, ranging from 1 or ace to king, I guess. And then there's 5 suits, but there's 2 of each card in it. So 2 of the diamonds, 2 of the stars, whatever. But it's a rummy style game where you're gonna draw a card and then put down a card until you can go out with your hand and then discard, and then 1 discard, and then there are jokers, which are wild, and then whatever round you're in. So say you're on round 4, you're gonna draw 4 cards, and then 4s are now wild that round. But if you're on the round with jacks, you're going to draw 11 cards because jacks are worth 11, and then jacks and jokers are going to be wild that round.
Okay.
So you're going to get more cards, but then the wilds are going to go up as well. And if somebody goes out, then each other player gets 1 more turn to try and get a card and try and go out. Otherwise, anything that isn't 3 of a kind or 3 or more of a kind, or a run of 3 or more in the same suit, you get positive points and points are bad. I came in when they were like halfway through the game. V had like, I don't know, I want to say 20 something points, and Mike had like close to 100. And like I said, positive points are bad. So V was winning, and I came in there like, oh, we can deal you in, Zach, but you're going to get a point penalty. She was going to do like 20 points, and she's like, no. We're going to do 40 points, so that way I'm still winning. And I'm like, okay, fine. I get dealt my hand, and I ask Mike, I draw a card, and I have to have a card to discard, right? And he's like, yes. And so the only reason I did not go out on my first hand was because all the cards had to all the cards matched up in a way that I had to play all the cards in order to go out.
Wow.
And so I discarded a card, and then on the next round, I drew a card that I was like, oh, I can now substitute this here, and this is now my discard. So I discarded it, and then I went out. And they're like, oh, God damn it. And so V ended up getting like 20-something points. Mike got 20-something points. I was like, okay, fine. Next round. I look at my hand. I'm like, well, I just need one card, and I can go out. I just need a 9 or 10 of the blue diamonds. And then V discards a 10 of diamonds. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to take this, and now I'm going to go out. And she's like, you son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch bastard.
Yeah. So within the 2 rounds, both of them got a shitload of points, and I still remained at 40.
Wow. Oh, God.
The next rounds went, I probably went 5 or 6 times around the table before then I was like, all right, well, and I'm going to go out again.
And I'm out.
And then the wrestling started. So we're like, all right, and like there were 2 or 3 more rounds.
Siren song that is the wrestling.
Yeah, but they were like, oh, well, we can just, since we didn't finish it, we can just say this is all a tie, right? And I was like, sure.
Sure.
And I was like, all right, well, I'm still at the 40 points that V gave me at the start. So, I mean, it's just a rummy game, but I just thought it was funny how lucky, like, because there was nothing skill based about literally having I just shoveled the deck and I drew a hand
that you could just drop.
That I could just drop if one card came out that V discarded. And that's what sucked for her, at least, is that every time she gave me cards, I was like, ooh, I need that card.
Yeah.
Oh, I need that card too. And she's like, God damn it. And so the other game I wanted to talk about was one that we played on Sunday, Jeff, and it was before Crusaders.
Oh, yeah.
Another round of Kingdom Death Monster.
Slightly less
KDM.
eventful than our previous rounds.
Well, yes.
So we probably won't go on for 15 minutes.
No, just like 12 minutes and 90 seconds.
Yeah. We're all app-based now for tracking everything. We don't have to get out the paper or anything anymore.
And it's super easy to update.
Yeah. We did that the last time we played, which was a while ago.
Yeah.
We still don't have the Gorm model, but we did fight the Gorm a lot. That was kind of like a new thing you could hunt that was in one of the expansions that Paul got because he got all the expansions. So we fought a lot of Gorm because we were getting the whole Gorm set together for Zach.
Yep.
And then we kept making the now poor decision to do the level 2 Gorm. And the reason it's so bad is not that the Gorm itself is hard and is going to kill you. Every time you go into the fight and exit the fight, you have a table you need to roll on. And I looked up the table, and it basically breaks down to a 30% chance of losing movement, a 30% chance of losing strength, a 30% chance of something else that's not great, or you get honorable or whatever.
Yeah.
And then a 10% chance of getting the legendary lungs. But characters losing permanent movement, permanent strength, or even just getting honorable is horrible. Like, honorable means you can't attack from directly behind a monster anymore, which you can't get the +1 to attack directly behind it.
Also, if it gets knocked down, you cannot attack it.
Because
which
you're
knockdown
honorable.
Yeah.
And then there's a hunt event that you get the Twilight Sword, one of the arguably best swords in the game. If anyone in your party has honorable, you just can't get the Twilight Sword because you're looting a corpse of the Twilight Sword. They're like, no, we don't do that. And the reason we did that is because you got 8 Gorm resources instead of 6, but those extra 2 Gorm resources are not worth it.
It was 6 instead of 4.
6 instead of 4.
But no, it was not worth it.
No.
It seems like you either want to fight a 1 or a level 3.
Yeah. Because the 3 gets you like the regen suit item.
Yeah.
And then the level 3 has a whole extra table on top of that.
Yeah.
because you hunt and then you have to use someone as bait, and then they get eaten by the gorm, and then you're following that, and then every time it's their turn on the hunt, you roll on the digest table, and that can be like archive a piece of gear or
not good.
Not like it digested your gear off.
And I was able to get most of it, except there's only one handed skull.
Yeah,
which is what we
in the deck,
which we need for the mask.
Yep.
So we fought Gorm.
And it's like 25 cards, so
Yeah.
it's not easy to get.
Yeah. So we fought the Gorm a couple times, and then we had
and then disabled a bunch of our characters
Yes.
because of the fucking minus moves and minus
Yeah.
strengths.
And
Paul was real pissed because going into it, you have a chance to roll. You roll on a table. If you roll a 10,
if you roll a 10 and then a 10,
which is almost always either neutral or very good, you get the frenzied, which means you can't use weapon mastery, you can't use fighting abilities, you can't use anything, you can't do anything with anything you have.
which depends. Like my character that had it before that didn't care.
Nope.
I was cool with Frenzied. It gave me strength and speed, but he was a bow specialist, which really
And we had just
mattered.
given him a new arrow, and he ignores slow on weapons or something.
ignores cumbersome, and then he can re-roll his misses.
Yeah. So, but he couldn't use any of that.
Yeah,
So he was super pissed.
yeah.
He didn't do much that battle.
No.
And then we proceeded to get a bunch more minus
Well,
strengths
especially because he forgot about his speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Brought the extra speed.
Yeah.
And then we proceeded to get more minus strengths and minus moves on people.
Yep. But then during the many times we fought Gorm, we had a settlement event where Slenderman appears.
Yeah, which is our other expansion that we're using.
Yeah.
Instead of the hand? No.
No.
The one that brings the guidepost normally, I think, is the event
The Kingsman?
The Kingsman. Yeah, that's what it replaces.
And so on this one, Jeff's character got chosen, and it was like, you die unless you or you reveal the horror.
Yeah.
And Jeff's like, well, I don't want to die, so let's reveal that horror.
Yep.
And so the Slenderman just appears in the middle of their sentiment phase, and it's like, all right, you're fighting him now.
Yep.
And he's a whole bunch of fucked.
Yeah, he's definitely the most unique mechanics that I've seen out of a monster so far.
He will,
besides the hand that has the little like lens thing.
Yeah, he will teleport around.
Teleport you around,
and also just disappear from the board and make everybody forget that he was there.
Yep.
And so you're just sort of wandering around like, I don't know what to do. And then he'll appear right behind you, farthest away from as other people as possible, and hurt you. And then eventually can put people into pods, which will
take you into another dimension.
Yeah, which someone can take a brain trauma in order to pull you out of the dimension, or you can just have to get a super good roll.
Yeah.
And my character had 4 bleeding tokens, and I was like, well, I have to get a 10 in order to not die.
Yep.
Unless someone pulled me out. And Paul was like, meh.
You have honorable. We don't want you anyways.
Yeah. And because Thursby had a 20% chance of rolling a
when you roll a brain trauma on a 1 or 2, you die.
Yeah.
So it's either you need to roll a 3+ to pull someone out.
Yeah.
And even then, you take a huge negative from.
I mean, depending on what you roll.
You roll, but yeah.
Yeah. I was like, well, there's a 100% chance of me dying if I don't get pulled out.
Yeah.
And
then they pulled me out.
Then they pulled you out.
Yep.
And I was like, cool. All right. I see how it is. And then he's like, why are you so salty? And I'm like, because you're just like, fuck you. We don't want your character. You die.
Honorable sucks.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I get that. But it still would have been nice to have another character to fight.
Yeah.
So.
And then we defeated it without much problem after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But yeah, it was interesting. We can fight one again, but it'll be at a higher level.
And it's not for quite a few years.
Yeah, exactly.
In game.
Yep. But,
same, like we still have to get through the hand level 1, and then the butcher level 2 will appear. Basically, it all just happens over again.
And then after we finish this campaign, we're going to try and start the Dragon King campaign. So,
which is like a totally different thing. Like everything, apparently it is very different in how you play and hunt and everything. And like you have like objectives that you have to do because you want to get as many people high level as possible because you're trying to get favor with the Dragon King and crazy shit.
Yeah.
And then maybe Paul will have all the expansions built by then by other people.
Yeah, that's true. But
yeah.
Kingdom Death.
Nothing too crazy this time, but
this continues to be
fun.
Kingdom Death. Yeah.
Cool. Jeff, Is there a Bloody Minute this week?
Nope. New season started today. New brackets haven't been pulled up. I didn't play any preseason games at all.
Is that going to hurt you in any way?
I have 2 less games than everyone else.
So maybe?
I mean, maybe. Basically, I don't have 2 MVPs, and I don't have any star player points that I have, but I also don't have the risk of like losing
Injuries and
stuff or getting slaughtered.
Was that like a risk-reward thing you weighed yourself? Or
No,
just
it's
like
just
schedule and life and things like
I have a broken leg, and I don't want to go anywhere.
Okay. That's more what I figured, but I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't like a tactical decision there.
Yeah. I was like, I will suffer through not playing 2 games to just not go anywhere.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, since there isn't really much of a Bloody Minute, I think we can roll right on into some news and Kickstarters.
On to news. First up in news, Ninja Division's problems keep getting worse. IDW has ceased their partnership with Ninja Division. I guess Ninja Division was going to be making some minis for Kickstarter exclusive stuff, Wayward specifically, and they were working on a Men in Black / Ghostbusters crossover board game, which is a weird crossover, but if it's IDW, they have a bunch of fucking weird crossover comics anyways.
Yep.
So I guarantee that's what it's from. But it looks like IDW is now going to be going to new sculptors and or studios to create these minis, because they probably weren't ever going to appear from Ninja Division in the first place.
Yeah, so with Wayward, they actually had like a I don't know, contract plan for Ninja Division to provide some miniatures for it. And because of all of the issues Ninja Division has, IDW has actually just moved on and hired a new sculptor or studio to do just new miniatures.
Yep.
And have pushed Wayward back. The Men in Black Ghostbusters sounds like they never got much beyond like initial talks.
Yeah.
And then they ultimately decided not to go with Ninja Division, likely because somewhere along the line they probably got word that Ninja Division was in trouble.
It's like, yeah, we'll get you those. Just pay us for the next project, and we'll get you the ones for that one that you actually want us to do.
Yep. Like, I know we joked about this being kind of a Ponzi scheme before, and I really feel bad because like it sounds like that, like I'm going to use this to pay for the future stuff, or like the old stuff to pay for the like future stuff to pay for the stuff now, whatever. Which is totally a Ponzi scheme, but I feel like it's really unintentional.
Yes,
like
I don't think they were ever intentional.
I don't think there's any malice here.
No.
It's just a lot of incompetence.
Yeah.
Which might be worse.
Don't prescribe to malice what you can what you can
adequately be
attributed to ignorance or whatever
stupidity.
It was. Yeah, I'm many versions of that saying.
Yes.
Yes.
Which we'll get to later in emails.
Yes.
Yes. Jesus. But yeah, so IDW not working with Ninja Division in any way, shape, or form. So
next up in news, Funko went ahead and acquired a board game development studio. The people that brought you Harry Potter, the deck building game, and those Choose Your Own Adventure board games that we still haven't played yet. And
you're right.
Villainous.
And Bob Ross.
Yeah. So Forest Pruzan Creative LLC.
Correct.
I guess is who brought us all of these things.
Good to know.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing because like I've never really regularly heard the term development studio.
Yeah.
Like I've heard like developer, I guess, kind of.
Because they're designers that license games to different publishers.
So they work specifically, I think, with licensed games. So like games that have a.
But it's not always one publisher.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
here's a game. It's licensed. Who wants to buy this licensed game's rights or whatever?
Yeah, because like Ravensburger did Villainous, USAopoly did Harry Potter, Z-Man did the Choose Your Own Adventure, and Big G did the Bob Ross game. So yeah, so they clearly work with different publishers. They just designed for them, and I wasn't aware that like designing houses in board gaming were were like a thing like this as much.
Yeah. And these are all fairly popular and big games, too. It's just something I've never really thought of before.
Yeah, like when I've heard, like, oh, this game was designed by so-and-so, I thought that was like a designer then went to a publisher to pitch it. Like, Capstone's a publisher. People come and pitch them games. They say, hey, I like your game. I will publish it. I didn't know that there were, like, publishers who were like, hey, we've got Harry Potter deck builder we want to make. Who wants to design us a Harry Potter deck builder?
Yeah.
forest. So yeah.
And Funko, so, they'll
Funko Pops.
they'll release 4 of them per store, and then there's one limited edition one, and then they'll be sold out, and then you'll never get it again.
Yeah.
That's the Funko business model, I believe. I've seen that.
Sounds about right.
High demand, low supply.
Yep.
Charge outrageous prices for crappy shit.
When I worked at Target, it was always a fucking nightmare. It'd be like, I saw online that you guys got these in, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking
Oh,
about.
you're referring to Funko stuff. I thought that was just a flat statement. When working at Target, it was a fucking nightmare.
Also true, I believe.
And it was in some shipper thing in the back that we had gotten that day that wasn't supposed to go out for 2 weeks. And they're like, you need to go back there and get me those because you have them. And I was just like, but then our display will be totally empty. We can't do that. And some people would. It was fucking Funko people are insane.
Yeah.
But these games are good.
So listeners who like Funko, fuck you. Jeff thinks you're insane.
I'm sure they know. There's definitely
I'm sure they already know that.
There's definitely the insane collector level, and then there's the regular people.
Yeah,
that
fair
want, like, I like that thing, not the limited edition one.
Fair enough.
That nightmare.
They need to make having flashbacks here.
Next time you go into Epic, you just see a bunch of Funko shit there. Like, we started selling Funko.
It's pretty much how comic book stores have kept afloat for the last 20 years.
I'm not surprised,
yeah.
Moving on from Funko shitting on, next up in news.
The GW re-release continues. WizKids is re-releasing Relic, the 40K talisman version, back to the masses, kind of in the middle of this year.
Yeah, so...
Did either of you ever play any of these Talisman style games?
So I've played
Apps.
Talisman as the app, and given how dicey, fucking dependent, long, drawn-out horse shit the app was, I can't imagine playing that fucking game in real life. Somebody brought it to game night with like 4 expansions, and I saw it and I was like,
5 or 6 people. I remember that now.
What are you doing? You're going to be here for a year.
And you know what? I think Lance and Leander were both playing that too.
I think they were.
Yeah. Was it Lance that brought it?
No, it wasn't. It was somebody vaguely new-ish to game night.
It's good to hear that they got shamed out. No.
If you
Shame.
Jeez. I was going to say, if you want to play Talisman at game night, you deserve... No, nobody deserves shame. Play what you dig. If people like Talisman, that's cool. I just don't understand it.
But Relic, even without the expansions, is already like 2 to 3 hours. And there's 2 expansions
Jesus
for this game.
Christ.
Yeah.
Well, because it's roll to move. If it's based on Talisman, it's roll to move.
Yeah.
So you're like awkwardly trying... Because you can roll, and you can choose to move one way or the other, I believe, if I remember correctly. So, but you're trying to get to like one of 4 spots where you can cross to the next tier and then roll around in there and hope you don't hit the one that sends you back to the main tier. And it's just a nightmare of dicey bullshit.
That sounds right. But this one is dicey bullshit in the far-flung grim-dark future that is Warhammer 40,000. So something that's new for this, they'll be having a deluxe edition that'll have some pre-painted busts for the characters.
Instead of the regular ones.
Yes.
Are they plastic or... Okay.
Yeah, they are fine, unpainted.
Gotcha.
They're different colored plastics.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, fancy. But that'll be coming in June of 2019.
Yes.
So if you are into Warhammer Talisman, keep an eye out for Relic.
Yeah. Next up in news, speaking of licensed things, the last thing I thought would be licensed, Jaws is coming to a board game near you.
Yeah. So there's so much to unpack in this very short article. The game's loosely going to be following the plot of the film, broken into 2 acts. The first that happens on Amity Island as the shark just eats a bunch of swimmers and causes a bunch of problems.
Keep the shark away.
Yeah, keep the shark away, get people out of the water.
Yeah.
And then the second half where you go out on the boat with Brody, Hooper, and Quint. It's a game for like 2 to 4?
Because you get to play as the shark.
One person is the shark,
Yeah.
and then everybody else is not the shark. I don't know if you're specifically Brody, Hooper, and Quint, or if you are other people when you're on the island and then just them when you're on the boat, or whatever. It's card-driven, character and event actions played on both sides. The thing that is weird to me is it's 2 acts. You do these 2 different parts. The board flips over. So midway in the game, you have to clear the board and then flip it over to switch to the other like part of the game, which just seems weird. Also, gameplay might last, at least half as long as the movie. They're giving an hour, and in my experience with any time of game length estimates, they're way under. So the movie's a little over 2 hours. If the game goes much over an hour, you could just play the game while you watch the movie, almost beat for beat.
Apparently, there was another board game. They linked it here.
The Game of Jaws.
The Game of Jaws. It's a dexterity game where you have like a little hook, and you're trying to get different junk and stuff out of the plastic shark's jaws,
Before it snaps shut.
Before it snaps shut. So this is technically the second Jaws game.
Yeah. The first one came out like nearly 40 years ago.
1975, that one came out.
Over 40 years ago.
Yes. Last up on news, Capstone, which we were chit-chatting about earlier, has a partnership with Winsome Games for a new version of Irish Gauge. Gauge? Is that right? Gauge.
Yes.
With your favorite artist, Ian O'Toole.
Yes. So there's so much I'm excited about here. So it's not just for Irish Gauge. Irish Gauge is just the first release in their new Iron Rail series. The Iron Rail series is going to focus on rail network development in various regions around the world. And so it's going to basically, he's going around and finding all these old Winsome games that are traditionally a hard to find, low quality game.
It was
like
originally
train game quality.
It was 2014 it came out.
Yeah. So it's not even that old of a game.
No, but it looks like it's much older than 2014.
Yes. But they're taking them, they're getting great artists like Ian O'Toole to really do up the art, do up the components, and then put them back out there and try and actually drum up interest in these more niche games.
Just saw what the old one looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, it's from Tom Russell, who designed...
it's Winsome does that.
Yeah. Which Winsome, granted, are like a bunch of different designers. Like, I'm pretty sure Winsome's like a category. I don't fully understand Winsome's. It's beyond me.
Northern Pacific?
There's Winsome Games, which is like a studio, so.
Tom Russell did Northern Pacific. Does that sound right?
Yeah, Tom Russell's done a lot of games.
Railways of the World.
4X.
4X is the one I was thinking of that I was drawing a total blank on. And mostly I wanted to verify that it was actually Tom Russell because at HeavyCon, I mentioned something about like, oh yeah, Tom Russell designed this. And Tom Russell was standing right there and he's like, no, you're thinking of so-and-so, who I am not. And I was like, you're right.
You fool.
But yes, 4X. Yeah, Tom Russell runs Hollandspiel. And they do a lot of weird, quirky games, which I love. I love that, he's like, I want to make weird, quirky games, and people won't publish my weird, quirky games, so I'm going to publish my own weird, quirky games. I think that's totally cool.
Fair enough.
And I support that. But yeah, I am super excited about this. I've never played Irish Gauge. I don't know shit about Irish Gauge, but...
You're excited.
Yeah. It's a train game. It's Tom Russell, who everything I've played from him, I have liked. O'Toole's artwork is amazing, and...
Well, the box is amazing so far.
Ian O'Toole's art, all of Ian O'Toole's artwork I've ever seen has been amazing.
For this game so far, all there is a cover.
Yes. Yeah. I am certain that the board and everything else will look also awesome. I'm really curious about some of the components and how they're going to upgrade the components. Like if they're going to stick with just using cubes to do track lays, or if they're going to change that up at all. I don't know. I'm super excited about it, though. And this entire line. The Iron Rails series will probably rapidly replace the simply complex line as my go-to. I'm going to buy this stuff from Capstone Games. As long as they keep doing old stuff that I know is good and not do new things like Chinese Zodiac.
Sick burn.
I'm just not interested in it. It seems too simply and not enough complex. Anyhow.
That's it for news.
That is it for news.
On to Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
First up, Kickstarter is Terrain Crate 2. Crate Expectations. Wonderful name.
And that's all we really need to say because that's almost the entire reason this is on the list.
But it is extremely well funded. $214,000 of its $78,000 goal. 2,100 backers and a week left to go, which you can pledge this at its most popular level for $85. This is Terrain.
Yeah. So this is put out by Mantic Games, and they've put out a couple different things in the past, including the first set of Terrain Crate stuff. That was a bunch of really awesome like D&D style
Dungeon.
accoutrement.
Yeah.
Like
Hero Quest-y level.
yeah. Like an alchemist table or a dungeon like torturer set or grates and skeletons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
this one adds in like Gothic Manor, Servants' Quarters, Grim Garden, Bleak Wood Mausoleum.
Yeah, so the 3 crates are roughly for this one. There's a like old Gothic Manor, the Bleakwood Hall set. There's the Campbell Heights set, which is like
modern
zombie set. Like it's the Two Trees Mall and the Survivor Stronghold and the Crystal Peaks Camp.
Not Twin Pines Mall?
Not Twin Pines.
Single solo pine?
Yes.
That's a sick Back to the Future reference. If
Yes.
anyone's...
And then the Bellevue Square, which is like, I don't know, random Victorian, maybe?
Yeah.
Market Day, Cozy Cottage, and Peaceful Park pieces. The only thing that even remotely interests me in this is the zombie one, but I don't play RPG zombie games to where I need cool miniatures for it, but people do, and people do Gothic stuff and Victorian stuff.
And maybe it's not that easy to find terrain in those settings.
Yeah, so, and like their earlier one, the quality on these is fantastic. Almost makes you want to play something set in a Victorian manner.
Yeah.
Full of creepy grandfather clocks and bookcases and other shit like that.
Role-playing terrain is big business. I mean,
Yes.
that's...
Lots of money.
Gen Con has whole hordes of booths devoted
Dedicated.
solely to random wooden shit you can add into your D&D game.
Right? So, but that's basically it for Terrain Crate 2. It was on the fence and Crate expectations.
Just pushed it
right
over the top.
Yeah. So
I saw a fighting video game that we will have to get the picture of the box art, but it's a bad game. And then I saw the box art and I was like, this makes it slightly better.
Nice.
It's old Super Nintendo fighting game. We'll get it in the show notes. Maybe it'll be, it's great. But next up on Kickstarter is Winterborne. Not quite funded yet, $14,000 of its $20,000 goal, 424 backers, but still 3 weeks left to pledge this one, which you can for $39.
yeah, so Winterborne is a Euro game for 2 to 4 players, doing a little bit of deck building and kingdom expansion, which isn't something I've really ever heard of as like a game type, but sure, I'll go with it. Essentially, you are the founders of your own mighty clans, and you're trying to guide your people and prepare them for winter. And whoever does the best of that will be named champion of Winterborne. So it's mostly, like I said, deck building, a little bit of tableau building, supposedly a whole lot of different paths to victory. But it takes 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And essentially, what you're going to be doing in this game is
Kingdom expanding.
Yeah. Each turn, you choose one of your heroes, either the warrior, the shaman, or the explorer. And then you choose 1, 2, or 3 movement. And then you do whatever person you chose lets you do. So like the warrior, you can either conquer or build. Conquering lets you expand your kingdom and get spoils. Building lets you populate your provinces with settlements and churches. The shaman, he lets you either trade or tax. Trading, you ally with provinces, and taxing, you get gold and military power. He also lets you pray, which gets favor from the gods. And the explorer, you can explore or raid. Explore builds your deck, gets you more cards in there, and raiding increases your resources that you have to do other things with. And there's a whole bunch of other like little set collection and things that go on, and placing out little hexes and build things like that. They don't have a huge, great, like, how do you play? What actually goes on? How's a turn broken down? Anywhere just on the Kickstarter page, but that's at least a rough overview.
Yeah. Choose an action, do sets.
Yeah, so.
There's a rule book, which is always helpful.
And plenty of videos of how to play if you are down for watching videos of how to play. Yeah. Art's not super blowing me. The art's pretty good, but the overall like layout of things isn't super blowing me away.
A lot of hexes.
Yeah.
A little bit of a fantasy setting, you know, floating islands and that kind of stuff.
The hexes don't really line up as they come out, which super bothers me.
Understandable.
I mean, I get that they're supposed to be like vastly different regions, I think. They're not supposed to be like directly adjacent.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
And the rulebook passes the smell test, so.
Yes. They're if they get 1850 followers over on Twitter, they will unlock a 2mm box that will last longer and hold up better over time.
Social stretch goals.
Yep. Gotta love them. But yeah, that's Winterborne by Talon Strikes. Check it out.
Next up in Kickstarters is Coloma, very well funded, $136,000 of its $22,000 goal, 17, almost 1,800 backers, and 2 weeks left to go, which you can back for $69 for the deluxe version.
Yeah, so in Coloma, you are basically trying to profit off of the gold rush. So if you're not aware, Coloma was the town where gold was initially found by somebody building a like water wheel that sparked the big gold rush of 1849. So
Hence the 49ers.
yes. So it's a game for 1 to 5 players, 60 to 90 minutes. And like I said, you are competing to try and basically profit the most off of this gold rush. Pardon me while I scroll 1,000 tiers down, because they do components and then like component highlights and then deluxe components and then gameplay, which in case people haven't picked up on this yet, that's an increasingly bothersome trend for me in board gaming, that gameplay is so lowly prioritized over everything else about these games.
I do like that they label their meeples as specifically as dudes.
Yes. So at the beginning of each chapter, it's simultaneous action selection. I'm not really sure how they do it. Like if it's card reveal or if you just put your shit out there, like 1, 2, 3, put it on the board. They have a GIF of it that doesn't really clear it up. It just shows 4 pieces going out onto this little wheel of action selection. However, the key thing is that if each action has like its main action and then it has a boom bonus. But if too many people go there, it's not a boom, it's a bust. And so you don't get that bonus action. So you want to kind of try and go where you think other people won't go, so you get a bonus action. Then you take turns performing the actions you've selected, like gaining resources, moving wagons, building bridges, businesses, all of that kind of stuff. After that, a section of the board rotates around. So there's like a fixed action that will rotate into different spots around the board, blocking the base actions. And then you'll go into the next round. Town cards that you build in your own little tableau, 'cause it's a little bit of a tableau builder, let you get more efficient, get extra actions, things like that. And eventually when that rotating section hits high noon, right at the top of the rotating section, a whole bunch of outlaws come invade the town. And so similar to Cities and Knights in Catan, one of the main expansions for Catan, when they invade, if everybody collectively has enough people to fight them off, congrats, you fought them off. And everybody gets a share of the rewards relative to how many people they supplied to the defense of the town. If the outlaws win, however, all of the reward values go down, and some of your gunmen that you've hired are going to be going to the graveyard, which they don't really clarify what that means. Like, do you lose points for gunmen in the graveyard? Do you gain points like, hey, I sacrificed the most people to defending the town? I don't know. They don't say. But, yeah, that's basically it for Coloma. Again, bunch of videos and a rule book that you can check out over on the Kickstarter if it sounds interesting to you. Yeah.
Art's done by The Miko.
Yeah.
Raiders of the North Sea, etc. Architects.
Yeah. But you can definitely see, especially in like the board layout.
Yeah.
Very evident.
Dmitrievsky, I think is his last name.
Sure.
Sounds right. That's why he goes by The Miko sometimes.
Yeah. Don't blame him.
Yeah. Last up in Kickstarter is Tiny Epic Tactics. This one, shockingly well funded
I don't believe it.
What?
419,000 of its $15,000 goal. 9,200 backers, but only about a week left to go on this one, which you can pledge for $25.
Yeah. So, I mean, almost don't need to say anything else. It's the next Tiny Epic game. It's doing incredibly well. I can't imagine you're hearing about this for the first time through us, but in case you are, here are the deets. It's got 4 modes of play. You can do a solo, 2 to 4 player competitive, 2-player cooperative, or 4-player team play, which is like a combination of cooperative and competitive.
Yeah.
2v2.
Battle Royale.
Fits again.
No, that's 12 to 15, Jeff.
Like all of the Tiny Epic games, it fits in their standard little Tiny Epic box. The ridiculous thing about this one is the box itself is part of the board.
Yeah.
So like you take it apart, you flip one piece upside down, and it's this one section, another piece upside down.
It's like Ice Cool, where it has a bunch of it has a bunch of smaller boxes inside that sort of create its own 3D terrain.
Yeah.
And
like
honestly, it
rollout
reminds
map.
me of Heroescape, but with a
Box instead of X's?
Well, yes, but a like King of the Hill-esque style thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 5 small boxes inside the main box. So you'll use those 5 smaller boxes and the box bottom, so 6 box pieces to make this 3D terrain
And the
rollout map / scroll.
Yep.
And that's the environment where you'll be battling and doing everything. So
And not only that, those pieces can be inverted on the insides of the box are
Like
like
dungeons
caves and
or-
dungeons.
yeah.
So it's not just one type of terrain.
Yes.
so when you're playing competitively,
They are getting everything they can out of
As is tradition.
yeah,
yes.
I mean that's the Tiny Epic tradition.
I'm pretty sure they're just like, well, we've used everything we can in the box.
Let's start using
The box. Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum. So in competitive, you are individual players controlling teams, or if you're actually teaming up, you're like a team where you're trying to score the most victory points, where you'll have 3 actions each turn to assign across your entire team, moving and attacking, doing things like that. Victory points awarded for area control, enemy heroes captured, and keeping your own heroes alive. Gaining control of one or multiple specific areas offers the most victory points.
Yep.
The cooperative version is more like just dungeon crawling.
Right,
Like
yeah.
Then that's where like using it like an internal like dungeon or cave that you're crawling
Mm-hmm.
through is where that kind of comes in, and you get points for like fighting enemies and exploring
Yeah.
different things.
Well, and it's like everybody has like a fighter, a mage, like a rogue type guy, and then a beast, but each of them are unique. So like my fighter is different than your fighter, and your rogue is different than mine. So everybody has a unique group of 4 characters. So
A balanced RPG party, some might call that. A fighter, a wizard, a rogue, and a beast.
yeah, as long as you don't need a heal.
Yeah, they really did kind of just swap the cleric for a beast. I'm not sure what a beast actually is, but
Something different.
indeed. Essentially, they break down fighters. Okay, so I almost felt like they used the exact same phrase for fighters and wizards, but they're slightly different. Fighters are strong and versatile. Wizards are powerful and resourceful.
Someone broke out a thesaurus.
Yeah. Rogues are swift and cunning, and beasts are relentless and reliable. So there you go. In case that doesn't tell you enough, fighters have a lot of hit points, strong melee, and are good to lead the battle. Wizards have high damage at long ranges. Low hit points make them weak. This is all, again, pretty standard like RPG stuff. Rogues, good mobility with long range attacks. And they have a bunch of different special powers, and beasts have really good movement, high hit points, and strong melee damage, kind of like fighters. They're like a fighter that can move really quick. So, yeah. Only $25 though. So
Yep.
V always looking for
$20, $25 for the deluxe version.
And then you can-
has all the Kickstarter exclusives.
And then you can
You might
spend
as well.
$37 to get like 2 extra
map packs.
extra boxes.
Winter
basically.
Highlands and Savage Wasteland.
Yeah. Which are supposed to add unique like
Stuff.
terrain shit. So
Yeah. Basically tripling the terrain you get with the game.
yeah, I mean,
If it doesn't
now
all
it's
fit
just
in
3
one-
No, it's 3 boxes now.
But at that point, like just
what? No, that's why they sell. That's why they sell.
Sleeves.
Yeah, they sell sleeves. But then also, here's the game. If you want to get extra maps,
Yeah.
Go buy those maps. But you don't have to do that.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I mean, does the box sleeve hold all 3 boxes?
Might. I don't know.
I mean, the sleeves they've had in the past
Have just been 2.
but I'm sure they would have a bigger one. But yeah.
Looks interesting. No rule book, but there are videos.
Yes. And with 4 different player modes, they gave a succinct idea of what you're doing. And it was towards the top of the freaking Kickstarter. I have to scroll 3/4 of the way down for it. God, I don't super like the Tiny Epic games, but man, I love Gamelin's Kickstarters.
Yes.
They're well laid out.
They're
The
nice.
information I need is right fucking there. Good on you, Gamelin.
Nice people.
Yeah. That concludes Kickstarters.
Yes.
We are all done with Kickstarters, which means it's time for Jeff's favorite section, in which Jeff will be very busy this week
Yeah.
as we move into listener feedback.
First up, emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email, like these fine people did.
You'll send Jeff an email.
I mean, using fine people to describe everybody that sent us an email
that's true.
is a huge stretch this week.
I mean, you're not wrong. There is some quality people like Andrew.
Yeah.
Fucking boy.
Some people go above and beyond.
Yeah.
There's also 2 Andrews.
First
That's
up
true.
is
Well,
a
yeah.
different Andrew.
A reasonable Andrew.
Yes. With his email, porn, top 10 components.
In parentheses.
This is in reference to the top 10 components.
Yes.
Which was a quote. In your discussion of good resources, you mentioned the famous "know it when I see it" quote. The quote is from Judge Potter Stewart about pornography, the hardcore variety specifically. He continues with the quote here. I shall not attempt further to define the kinds of material I understand to be embraced within the shorthand description, hardcore pornography, and perhaps I could never succeed in intelligibly doing so, but I know it when I see it, and the motion picture involved in this case is not that. Concurring, Jacobellis versus Ohio, 378 U.S. 184, 1964. I don't know what this case specifically goes to, but I'm sure we can find out.
It was a case going along. It was like a First Amendment free
Well,
speech
what movie
case.
specifically?
The movie was The Lovers, Les Amants, from Louis Malle,
Aha.
which I'm sure I butchered the pronunciation of Malle.
I guarantee.
Malle. Alexandra, I expect you to correct me.
Alexander?
Alexander.
I'm
He
sure
said he said he was going to send us something.
which
not
he
like-
hasn't.
so-
So I'm just going to continue to butcher his name. as
Alex
much as
from
possible.
France.
Alex from France.
I believe it's Alex.
He continues. Also, I felt a shred of pity for Adrian when he tried so hard to get metal coins for best money. That pity turned to loathing as he tried to jam Seafall into the top spot. Pornography?
Tried to jam Seafall.
It's phrasing.
Yep.
In addition to that obscenity, he missed other options. Charterstone, meh.
I didn't play. Haven't played.
Yeah. And what I think is the best choice, Raiders of the North Sea.
Yeah,
I
that's-
think we all forgot Raiders
we all
of the
forgot
North Sea.
about that,
Even
so.
though I chose it for my best board,
Yeah.
I never opened the box.
To remind yourself that
Because
it had
I
metal
just went,
coins.
I was just in front of a computer. I just went an image, boom. Yeah, that one is real good. But yeah, Raiders of the North Sea comes with metal money.
Components has so far for me easily been the most difficult of the top 10s, just because I don't give a fuck about components as long as I can play the game with them.
Yeah. And maybe the game doesn't even come with all the components you need to play it. Enjoyed the discussion. Keep up the most work. Andrew.
It's really all that is at this point.
Next one comes from Lance, titled Lance. My name is Lance. I don't meet many others that have the same name. They/we are out there, but just not as many. Whenever you speak of Lance, I momentarily get confused. So this is a different Lance, clearly.
Yes.
Checks.
It's Lance C, not Lance S.
Yes. Checking the Social Security baby name site, Lance was ranked 157th of the 1960s with 20,000 babies. Number one was Michael with 823,000.
That sounds right.
1970s had 21,000 and rose to 129th. Michael, once again, number one with 707,000.
And my dad was born in 1959, and his name is Michael. So,
right in there.
yep.
1980s had 19,000 and was 146th.
Slipping.
No ranking in the top 200 boy names prior to 1960 and nothing post 1980s. Enjoyed the fair reading on Wingspan. It truly shows that games, as with almost any other form of entertainment, can have an audience, but not everyone is included in that audience. Keep up the excellent work, Lance.
Thank you.
Yeah, now we know everything we need to know about where Lance falls in the realm of top baby names.
If you think Lance is a weird name, well, so
uncommon.
Well, it's a weird name for like meeting other people or not meeting other people who have the same name. Adrian is similar with the exception that if you're a male named Adrian, you're going to meet far more women named Adrian than you are going to meet men named Adrian.
Yeah.
Like, I've met, I think in my entire 33, very close to 34 years of living, I have met like maybe 5 other male Adrians. I've met maybe a dozen female Adrians.
I do know another male Adrian from back in the day in my GameStop days. The assistant manager was Adrian.
Yeah. I mean, it's not rare. I mean, it's not like...
But it was hard thinking of another Adrian I knew.
There was one that came to a game night, and I was all excited, because, like, then we get to confuse people, and then he never shut up again. I must have expressed too much enthusiasm.
This guy's fucking weird.
You're way too excited that somebody has your name, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, Wingspan. Not for everyone.
No.
That's what we've been hearing from most of the people that have heard our review.
Yep.
We'll get to that in YouTube comments.
Yeah.
Next, the wonderful, glorious Andrew.
Fuck you, Boyd.
Titled Wingspan Components. I enjoyed the Wingspan review. A few people called out Adrian for being overly critical of the components, but I have to agree with him. The game is 100% unplayable with its lighter than a dumbbell dice and maybe stamped upside down card tray. What the fuck, Stonemeyer? In fact, here are some critiques that Adrian shared with me that I wish he'd left in the review. Where are the trains? Birds love trains. It's nothing like an 18xx game. The name Wingspan is too succinct. I prefer something fuller, like Tales of the Northland, Sagas of Noggin the Nog. Now that's a title. When the box lid is closed, I can't see what's inside. What, do I have to open it? That's annoying. The box has a weird cardboardy taste. I'm starting to suspect that eggs aren't real. Weeks under a heating lamp, and still nothing. I was promised a bird, damn it. Where are the nests? I shouldn't have to climb a tree to fetch my own damn bird nest. When I play a card, it just lays there. Is this a game about dead birds? Disappointing.
I really like that one.
Some of the most famous birds are missing. Toucan Sam, Big Bird, Larry Bird. Do your fucking homework, Jamie. Well, I say bravo, Adrian. Thank you, sir, for guarding the north wall from the undead hordes of component abominations. It's just too bad every game can't have components like Food Chain Magnate, Terraforming Mars, and Seafall. Do better, people. Andrew B.
I hate how funny that fucking email is, because it's all horseshit.
It's perfect.
It's perfect.
It's everything.
There's truth in comedy, Adrian.
I stand by the fact that the better your components are, the more minor nitpicks are going to stand out, which is why the dice lightness and the little bird facing the wrong way bothered me.
And no Toucan Sam, clearly.
Yeah, because fucking Fruit Loops, man.
To be fair, Toucan Sam couldn't be in there because it's a North American bird game.
Yes.
But Big Bird and Larry Bird should have definitely been in
That's
this.
true.
I mean, Toucan Sam is an American bird. Just because toucans aren't doesn't mean Toucan Sam
Well, I have a question
isn't
then.
American.
I have a question. Would it be a drawn picture of Larry Bird or just a picture of Larry Bird? Like
A real life picture
Yeah.
of Larry, like a trading card,
Yes,
like him
exactly.
dunking.
Well, I was just saying, has Larry Bird ever dunked? Because then he's like flying at least.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Larry Bird's ever actually dunked.
I guarantee
he seems like a loose eggs kind of bird.
Ground eggs.
Loose eggs.
These ground eggs.
Oh, fuck.
And that's emails at milehighgameguys.com if you'd like to send us an email.
Indeed it is. Nothing new over on BGG, however. for Paulo's Corner was active again to the regular-ish amount. 3 YouTube comments. Starting over on episode 131, Ruining a Surprise, where Paulo comments, cool artwork in the show today. Thank you to Chris for that.
Or
Heather. Yeah.
Heather.
Well, Heather, who was the artist, Chris for commissioning it.
Yes.
I got a bunch of comments about that. Eric, who kind of like oversees a lot of the Punchboard media stuff, messaged me and was like, did you guys change your logo? Like, it's at least a one-off.
Yeah.
But cool artwork in the show today, says Paulo. And it's good to have my corner all for me again these past episodes. Smiley face.
It's almost like he was tempting fate and the gods to prove him wrong.
Because immediately following is a comment from M. You say these things, Paulo, and it just invites people over to comment. How are you going anyway? I haven't even listened to this episode yet. I'm just here for you. Paulo never replied.
Maybe next week.
However, he did comment over on the Wingspan review.
Yes.
Where he says, have pre-ordered this, but you guys brought my excitement down. I'm considering canceling it now.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of people that listen to our show that were excited about Wingspan are slightly less, or mostly less, or completely gone in their excitement.
I think the fact that all three of us, like none of the three of us found something really strongly redeeming about it. You know, and people like our different tastes.
Yes.
And the fact that it didn't stand out for any of us, I think, has tempered a lot of expectations.
Which I think it was a good game, but there, it goes into the pile of
here's
good games.
A bunch of other good games.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's room for another good entry level game like this.
Yes.
But
I'm just not looking for another
Exactly.
good entry level
Yeah,
game.
I don't. It would be cool to have to introduce new people, but
Yeah.
I'll let those people buy the game.
Yeah.
I don't need to own that game.
Like, I kind of wish I still had Lance's copy when I went to my grandparents' house, because I probably could have gotten them to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
it's definitely one of those kind of games.
Exactly.
There's a reason you keep Ticket to Ride sitting around.
Yeah. Or Carcassonne.
Yeah.
Or But that's it from YouTube. YouTube is done. Nothing over on Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else. So that concludes listener feedback. We're all done with it. If you want to get a hold of us, there's a bunch of different ways to do that. You can always send us emails.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
You can comment over in Paulo's Corner on YouTube, youtube.com/milehighgameguys.
Make sure he doesn't keep it all for himself.
Correct. He doesn't get to bogart it.
Just because we named the corner after him doesn't mean it's his.
Yeah.
It's good for international listeners.
Yes.
Yeah. You can also follow us over on facebook.com/milehighgameguys. And don't forget to jump over to BGG and join the guild number 2731, where you can subscribe to the guild and see all of the posts that Zach puts up for episodes and reviews and discussions and all of that. And you can learn about the thirst of birds for the bird god if you participate over there. And you can always find us over on Twitter, where I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I am Jeff_MHGG.
Plenty of ways to get in touch with us. This Friday, be sure to tune in for our review of Crusaders Thy Will Be Done from Tasty Minstrel Games. And who knows what we'll do next week? Whoever knows. That wraps up the Wednesday episode. As always, our Wednesday episodes are brought to you by our awesome sponsors, Gray Fox Games, who are going to be launching the reprint of Tsukiyumi Full Moon Down on Kickstarter here in the next few weeks, mid-March, roughly, where they're going to be upgrading all of the standees from the original edition into miniatures.
And we just broke down a copy of that.
Yeah.
And holy shit.
Yeah. Jeff's working his way through the rules, and we'll be getting some plays in and letting you know what we think of the game itself. Hopefully shortly after or right around the time that Kickstarter launches, so you can make those informed decisions that we provide you with. We tell you what to think about things.
Yes.
That's how this works.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Under our thumb, Wingspan was crushed. All pre-orders canceled.
Yeah. Jamie will never recover.
Destitute.
But yeah.
I would feel bad.
I would feel really bad if we kill. Luckily, I know we don't have that kind of influence.
No.
But we have enough influence that Gray Fox likes us to talk about their games.
Yes.
So I'm happy to do so. Jeff, do you have a prepared statement for this advertiser sponsor spot.
Of course. Gray Fox Games, quality games, cleverly crafted. Also, we're not tools of the government or anyone else. Fighting was the only thing I was good at. But at least I always fought for what I believed in.
I mean, that's me, fighting for what I believe in. Bad components, but good gameplay. Till the end of time.
Till the end of time.
Right on. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. Hopefully you've enjoyed the show. As always, I have been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I still got another 3 weeks on crutches, Jeff.
Bye.
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 Where we all
Bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
At punchboardmedia.com.